First of all, let us understand what dharma is. Dharma is concerned with a person's mind rather than their body. The mind remains restless. The mind seems to be bound. So there is dharma to resolve this disturbance of the mind. This is a very basic thing. Do understand it. Dharma will not talk about the body, and even if it does, it will do it in relation to the mind. Dharma always talks about subtlety, and all the things of the body, whether they are of a human body, an animal body, or matter, are called gross. Dharma does not relate much to them because the concentration of dharma, the loyalty of dharma, is towards the mind. Dharma says that the mind is disturbed and that it has to be treated. Animals do not need dharma because animals do not have the existential restlessness that humans have. Dharma is the name for correcting all the defects in the mind, and the process of correcting this mind is called Bali. Those who claim that Hindu scriptures support animal sacrifice are those who have never read a scripture in their lives. I take those people directly to Vedanta. The Vedanta or Upanishads is the center of the Hindus. It is a very direct statement of the Upanishad that who is called an animal. The Upanishad says, Kama Krodha Lobhadayaha Pashvaha. Kam, lust, krodh, anger, lobh, greed, mad, pride, etc. All these are animals. As I said, Dharma only talks about the subtle. The mind is subtle. All the vices of the mind like lust, anger, greed and pride are animals. Because the human mind cannot perceive subtle things easily, the Upanishads use the animal, which we generally see as a gross body, as a symbol to represent subtle things. Whenever there is talk of animals in the scriptures, understand that it implies our animal instincts. Animal sacrifice is often thought to have been part of some of the ancient yagyas or sacrifices of the Vedic civilization. In the Vedic literature, however, a synonym that is given for the word yagya is adhvara, which literally means that which is free from violence. In order to be able to perform such a yagya, one needs to first sacrifice one's own cravings, selfishness and anger. One needs to slaughter or sacrifice Bali, the brute or animal, Pashu, in himself, that is, perform Pashubali. In yagya, the animal in man, the brutal instinct to enjoy even at the cost of others and risking spiritual well-being was restrained and ultimately slaughtered. The Pashupat Brahma Upanishad clearly says, Ashwamedho Mahayagya Katha Tadra Yagya Brahmacharyam Acharanti Sarvesham Purvakta Brahma Yagya Kramam Mukti Kram Miti. Ashwamedha is a great yagya or sacrifice, but its practitioners actually practice brahmacharya. The continuation of this brahmacharya yagya becomes the cause of liberation. The Upanishad says that Ashwamedha is a great sacrifice, but the matter is neither about Ashwa nor Medha here. Here it is a matter of brahmacharya. And what does brahmacharya mean? Brahmacharya means living a life in which Brahma is at the center. Brahma means liberation. Live in such a way that the only goal of living is liberation. This is brahmacharya. Even if you read somewhere about Ashwamedha, Gaumedha, Ajamedha or Narmedha, it does not mean Bali or sacrifice. It actually means brahmacharya only. The word Medha does not mean only to kill. See, a word has many meanings and you can interpret it according to your own interests. The word Medha has three different meanings. One is intelligence. The second is to collect the powers of consciousness that are lying within the human being and move forward towards liberation. And the third one is to kill. Ashwa means horse, and Ashwamedha does not mean killing or giving bali or sacrifice of a horse. Those greedy meat eaters changed its meaning. They replaced the first and second meanings of medha with the third one, that is, to kill. A horse is a majestic animal that represents a being of power, independence, freedom, nobleness, endurance, confidence, triumph, heroism, and competition. Now, Ashwamedha means all your powers which are scattered in the direction of animalism, bring them together, send them in the direction of possible heights. This is the right meaning of Ashwamedha. The Ashwamedha Yajna therefore refers to a yajna facilitating the purification of the soul and the strengthening of the nation. Vedanta keeps ahimsa or non-violence at its center. Ahimsa means that what is in front of me is not different from me. This is the fundamental teaching of Vedanta. So how can Sanatana Dharma be in support of Bali or sacrifice? How can it be in support of killing someone? Right now, if you are seeing someone who is different from you, if your selfishness is being fulfilled by killing someone, then how can you call yourself a dharmik or righteous person? The Vedas have ever been very clear regarding non-violence, both towards human beings and towards all other forms of life. Yajurveda says, Agniha Pashu Rasitenna Yajanta means Agni, fire, was the animal. The sacrifice was performed by him. Agni, fire, Jal, water, Vayu, air, Akash, atmosphere, and Prithvi, earth, are the Panch Mahabhuta or 5 great elements from which our physical body is made. They are being called animals. The physicality within you is your animality, that which has to be sacrificed. Bali cannot mean gross. The meaning of sacrifice cannot be attached to the body, that you have cut the body of an animal and you are saying that you have sacrificed. Bali does not mean killing anyone. Bali means renunciation. Bali means giving up something lower and getting something higher. Pashubali does not mean animal killing. It means killing the animal instincts within humans. The slaughter of animals must have been named sacrificial or bali by those people who did not have the slightest compassion and whose gluttony of taste was so great that they misused the Ved mantras so that their taste and self-interest would always be fulfilled. Man misuses the scriptures for his selfishness and then says that only the scriptures have taught him all these things. Dharma teaches us to be selfless, but we misuse the scriptures for our own selfishness. Charvak, also known as Lokayat, is an ancient school of Indian materialism which sarcastically says to these people, if a killed animal goes to heaven in the work of religion, then brother, why don't you kill your own father in the sacrifice, so that your father can get to heaven directly? They said this because those who used to kill animals in yajna often argued that the animals they sacrificed went straight to heaven. So in this way, the Charvak philosophers used to make sarcastic statements towards those people. Rig Veda says, don't kill our cows and horses. Yajur Veda says, do not kill 4-legged animals like goats, camels, etc. and 2-legged birds. Don't kill the horse, don't kill the sheep, don't kill the 2-legged creatures, don't kill the cow, don't kill the goat, but protect and protect. Do not do violence to anyone, leave violence at all. Samveda says, O Devas, we do not commit violence, nor do we perform any religious ritual involving violence. Mahabharat Shanti Parva says, liquor, fish, meat, etc. all this behavior is caused by rascals. There is no evidence of such behavior in the Vedas. This business of meat, wine, and fish is going on due to pride, attachment, greed, and gluttony of the tongue. This business has nothing to do with dharma. Mahabharat Shanti Parva says, In yajna, we should perform the sacrifice of the seed, aja. This is the Shruti of the Vedas. The word aja means seed. Therefore, goats should not be killed. The dharma in which animals are killed is not the dharma of noble men. The Sanskrit word aja is often translated as goat, while a Vedic meaning of the word is eternal soul. Ajamedha Yajna is performed for the ennobling of the soul. But the goat eaters completely ruined the beautiful meaning of Ajamedha Yajna and started a bloody goat sacrifice ritual. If you get heaven by killing living beings, then how can you get hell, Yudhishthir? Certainly, there is no animal violence in Dharma. Dharma is free from violence, and sacrifices should also be free from violence. Srimad Bhagavad says, those who kill animals in the name of yajna, shraddha and dharma actually do so simply out of greed for meat, and they are certainly deceitful. In time, however, such a beautiful and noble act as yajna or sacrifice, a totally unselfish deed for the greater good of the world, and the wonderful concept of Pashubali became synonymous with the slaughter of innocent and harmless creatures. It is of course true that in the medieval ages animals were sacrificed, both in India and the other parts of the world. However, these sacrifices were not prescribed by the Vedas. The sacrifice that the Vedas prescribe is that of one's own comforts, of one's own negative tendencies and small-mindedness, for the benefit of the society and the world. Great saints such as the Buddha and Mahavir, who saw the inhuman slaughter of innocent animals in the name of Pashubali or Yajna, rebelled against these practices and worked to bring people's attention back towards meditation, respect towards and service of all life, and cultivating a mind free from anger, lust, and delusion. These ideals that are actually a part of the core teachings of these amazing ancient scriptures called the Vedas. And lastly, I would like to say that pleasure on death is diabolical, and only by strengthening our consciousness will all human beings abandon these various demonic beliefs. I hope you learn. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Krishna.